Okay, well, that felt like a little longer than 20 seconds. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Susie Fotheringham. I am the Corporate Benefits Manager located here in Las Vegas. I have over 10 years of benefits experience. This includes both my personal and professional experience. I'm certified by the International Foundation of Employee Benefit Plans, as well as the Human Resources Certification Institute and the Society for Human Resource Management. I'm really not trying to brag or pat myself on the back, but I want to assure you that I will not be wasting your time today. A lot of the information today is relevant to everyone, regardless of where they work, whether it's here or elsewhere. A lot of benefits is, universal for the most part. So what you learn today, you can take with you. Again, I want to welcome all the employees, all the wives and husbands. Thank you for taking a little less than an hour out of your day to join me today. So as far as the agenda is concerned, we're going to talk about, sorry, I hit it too many times. We're going to first talk about the benefits website, where to go for this and that. And the reason why I want to demo it, I'm not going to go through everything, but the reason why I want to go over it is highlight some key areas that might take you a while to find and just kind of show you a little shortcut of where where you can find the information that you need. In addition to that, there are tips and tricks that I've kind of learned in the past 10 years. And again, it's experiences I went through myself, and of course the crazy stuff that happens with other employees. Now, what I'm hoping to do today is have our unfortunate missteps be your victories. So a lot of this you may already know, some of it you don't know. But I hope that there is at least a couple of things that you take with you learning this hour. The next item that I wanted to go over was I wanted to talk about what we're showing new hires as they're coming on board. For some of you on this call that just recently was hired, you may see this slide that's up on your screen right now, and it may look very familiar to you. The reason why I want to show everybody this slide is I want to highlight the company paid benefits that we talk about as people begin their journey with us, but we don't really kind of talk about it after. So the company paid benefits are employee assistance program. We're going to go over this a little bit later. We also offer 2 times your annual salary and life insurance, and we also offer short and long-term disability. Short-term disability has the unfortunate acronym of STD, but short-term disability is the amount of weeks that you get paid at 100% if you're unable to work for a period longer than 3 days or 7 calendar days. What this means is that based on your tenure with the company, if you've been here under a year, you get X amount of weeks paid at 100%, and then the remaining weeks paid at 60%. So based on your tenure with the company, you'll have more weeks paid at 100%. More information is going to be in the guide if you want to see that, and I'll show you where to find it. Additional voluntary benefits. As you can see, I'm not going to read what you can obviously see, but I just wanted you to be aware, because the number one question that I get is, we have pet insurance, and we do. We do offer pet insurance. So the first section that we're tackling here is the benefits website. The benefits website is www.mysgbenefits.com, and there is a password of MySG. It is not on the intranet. It doesn't mean that you have to be at work, and it doesn't mean that you can't access this elsewhere. Or your dependents, your wives, your husbands can access this information just like you can. But I want to make sure that I show you some really cool areas that you may or may not know about. So this is the benefits website. You type in MySG and you click Submit. I want to draw your attention to the carousel. The carousel here will always have the most pertinent and up-to-date information regarding benefit events. For example, we're going to have flu shots. on site at some of our larger locations next month. And in case we're wondering, the reason why we can't go to remote locations or locations with a lower population is we have a minimum that we have to hit. So that's the thought process behind that. But anyways, I got off on a tangent. So if the flu shot information would be on this carousel once we approach the date. So just know that there's a lot of good tips. Like I like this one. I'm clicking on it. It's when you should go to the ER versus the urgent care. The ER is probably I always make this joke that if you get a Band-Aid in the ER versus the urgent care, you will be paying at a minimum 4 times the cost of what one Band-Aid costs. It's ridiculous. But sometimes you know, when you're in a bind, obviously in an emergency or urgent situation, it's hard to differentiate between which of the 2 locations you could go to. So this just kind of highlights some really good information, and again, you can access that right off of the carousel. A lot of times people ask me, where should I go? I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to go to your webinars. I don't want to call you on the phone or email you. I want to do this on my own. Where can I go? And I say, you're kind of hurting my feelings, but okay, go to the new hire section on the page that you see right here. So on the new hire section, which ironically is for new hires, it helps you, it sort of has all of the pertinent information centralized in one area. So here, and if you're a new hire on the call and you don't know what your hire date is and you don't want to be embarrassed and call HR and ask them, you can use this and it will calculate your deadline date. And if you're not a new hire and you just want to know what 30 days from today is, feel free to use it for that. Right here with review your benefit options, here's that centralized area again. We talked about the guide, and that's where you can just get a quick electronic version of it. It has all of the information. HR also has hard copies if you like killing trees. I'm just kidding. If all the information that you have here, you can go through it. Here is the forms library. This is literally this button right here, the library, but we just made it easy for you to find. We'll talk about that later. Marketplace notice is really boring. It's just a required disclosure. The Watch the New Hire video, it's a 20-minute, I think it's 20 minutes. It's 15 or 20 minutes, and it walks through all of your benefits. And it's not my voice, it's somebody else's. And then if you want to know what an HSA plan is, we have a great little video that's 5 minutes long that you can also access. We're going to touch on HSAs a little bit later, but I strongly encourage everybody to read this video. The guy has a better voice than I do, and it's really actually, it really does summarize everything really well. Here are enrollment instructions. Again, if you're not a new hire, this isn't really important, but I want to concentrate on step 4. These are 4 good questions that you should ask yourself every time, well, not every time, but right before you click confirm your elections, whether you're adding your spouse to a plan, whether it's open enrollment, or whether you're a new hire. These 4 questions located right here are questions that you need to ask because they're the most common mistakes. People always forget their youngest child on their dental and vision plans for some reason. I'm the youngest child. It's happened to me before. You just have to check the box for each dependent, and sometimes when you have 6 kids, the 6th kid you forget about. So that's one of the questions here, and also checking your confirmation statement. Just good information that you probably already know, but it's good to read this before you actually hit confirm, so you're taking more of a proactive measure. Another great feature under step 4 is, say you have a question, you click Have Questions, it pops up on the screen I'm not sharing, but this email box pops up and it has a subject, it has the benefits inbox right there. It's pretty convenient. I also want to mention that this site is optimized for mobile use. What that means is that if you're going to look at the website on your laptop, or if you're going to look at the website on your phone, and I'm not a technical person, but something happens to where it looks good on both pages. So I wanted to make sure to make a note of that. Now, for most of us on the call, the Make Changes section is probably more relevant as far as versus the new hire. So making changes, it has a direct link to the benefits enrollment website with instructions on what your username and password is, because who can remember all of that? And then here it talks about what specific changes can allow you to make changes to your medical dental benefits. Oftentimes people say, hey, I'm getting married, or I got married. What event do I need to enter? And they could click on the QLE guide that I like right there, and then, oh, look, oh, marriage. I got a spouse. It's marriage event. This little thing right here, it lets you know what things to consider as you're entering your life events. The ones that are in green mean you're adding people to your coverage. The ones in red are you're removing people from coverage, and the ones in black mean there's no change to your coverage level. It's due to like an eligibility thing. So this is a really good document. You can save this off for midnight reading. Another great thing is, hey, you're having a baby, you can click birth or adoption, and these are some key highlights, key points that we want you to think of as you're transitioning to having a child. Things like what your leave options are, what maybe you want to cover your child under your life insurance policy. What's a dependent care FSA? Just good information right there. And again, there's more tips. Now, most events, you have 30 days from the date of the event to make the change. This is not a scientific games rule. Medical, dental, vision, your spending account plans, they come out of your paycheck before taxes. Anytime something happens before taxes, that means the IRS has 500 stipulations and statutes on when you can cross-go and collect $200. So that 30-day rule, again, is not a scientific games rule. It is based on the IRS and their regulations. So good things to note. So again, make changes, that's where you would go. If there's something important like, hey, the webinar that you guys are attending or open enrollment, we will carve out a separate section, so I just wanted to highlight that. The benefit highlights, this is a great section. If you just click benefit highlights, it's just a very, very long, sorry, I don't want to start a seizure. Okay, there we go. This is a really good area to get just a quick information. It also is centralized in that here, like under medical, that health plan video is trying to push on you guys, it's right there. Also, the comparison chart, which we're going to go over briefly, is right there. Hey, if you're a smoker, you may not know, or you may know that you can get all of your all of your surcharges back for tobacco surcharge if you complete the 8-session I can't say this for the life of me, so I'm going to slow it down. 8-session cessation program. I mean, say that 7 times. Whoa. So that program is, once you complete it, we are required to refund you all of the tobacco surcharges that you paid in the calendar year. We cannot refund you because you were smoking and paying it for 8 years. I'm sorry, but that, again, involves the IRS because you filed your taxes. So just wanted to highlight that. If you don't know, you can click on that for more information. The spousal surcharge, unfortunately, you can't get that money back at all. But if you want to know why you're paying it or what it is you just click there. I do want to mention, for those of you paying a spousal surcharge, it's not because we don't want your spouse on the plan. It's just that if your spouse is offered coverage elsewhere, then we want them to take it, because essentially you'll be paying more money. Obviously, the company will be paying more money, but double coverage isn't what it used to be, especially with the emergence of high deductible health plans. It's just not making sense to have someone double covered. There are specific examples where it works very well, but in most cases, I would say 90% of them, if I had to give a number, it's just not beneficial. But if you want to do it, that's fine. There's $70 a check. Okay, so hey, you want to know what your premiums are? When you add your new spouse to the plan, you can just click that right there, and it brings up the PDF. If you're a say you're getting, I don't want to super complicate this, but say you were hired in the second quarter, you don't get the full 300 like your friends who were eligible first quarter. You would only get this amount. The amount that the company contributes to your HSA is prorated, and we'll touch on that a little bit later. So again, hey, that girl on the webinar mentioned pet insurance. Where can I get information about that? 2 places. Here's one, voluntary benefits. So again, we've broken it out so you can just click on the sections that you want, but if you like to give your finger an exercise, you can kind of scroll all the way down here. I lost my place. Okay. The financial wellness, this is where, how about those stock prices? This is where you get the information on ESPP, and there's also helpful links down here regarding that. Also, your 401k. Your 401k, as far as where you want to log on because you don't remember the website, we've done the thinking for you. It's netbenefits.com, by the way. But 401k, you can click there, and it will take you to that location. If you're viewing this from your phone, you can click on that, and it will bring you to the page where you can download the app. All good information. Everyone should be contributing to their 401k. The library, this is kind of self-explanatory, but this is where all of the documentation that you could ever possibly want is located. There are different, you could break it down by medical, FSA, dental. Hey, what about pet insurance? Well, here it is. That's where that flyer is for you to go look at it. So again, we kind of tried to make this as intuitive as we could, and that's what we have here. Okay, the next section is help. Say it's 2 in the morning and you're dying to know who our provider of vision benefits is. If you send me an email, I may not answer it, but if you go here, you can get all of the customer service numbers, websites. I think that's it. I covered it. Yeah, all of them here. If all of these words scared you and you just wanted to know the vision, you can click vision, and we filtered it down there. So it's pretty intuitive. Now, briefly, I'm going to segue back into the side-by-side comparison. I'm going to do a very quick, where's my screen go? Oh, sorry. The side-by-side comparison right here, I just wanted to draw your attention to some things that you may already know, you may not. I won't tell if you don't. I'm going to work backwards. This is common terminology in benefits. Benefits is complicated. We all know that. No one fully understands it. I think I see it all, and then something happens, and I'm like, yep, that's why I don't say that out loud anymore. The annual out-of-pocket maximum. This number answers the question, if something catastrophic were to happen to me or my family, what is the most that I will come out of pocket in a calendar year? And that total are these 2 numbers. The $3,250 if you're enrolled on the choice plan just by yourself, or if you're enrolled on the choice plan at $6,500 if you have a dependent on it. That will answer that question. That includes your deductible, which we will go out right now. Just like a car, when you get into, well, not you, but when somebody gets into a car accident, they have a deductible. They have to pay X amount of money before the benefit kicks in. It's the same concept with insurance benefits. If you had to get, not you, I did it again. If some guy named Roger, and if your name is Roger, I am not talking about you, but if some guy named Roger had broke 7 bones and needed to get 7 x-rays, and each of those x-rays, I'm making up numbers, was $100, he would get the 7th one free because he paid $600 for the first 6, and now the 7th one is free. And if it's not free. I don't know why I just said that. Sorry. He gets 6, and then what is coinsurance? Coinsurance is what percentage you would pay after you've met the deductible. So back to Roger, his 7th x-ray would cost $20, and every subsequent x-ray after that would cost $20 until he comes out of pocket because he's all by his lonesome $3,250. Then the plan pays at 100%. So oftentimes when the unexpected happens and you've come out of pocket a lot, that's the time to start getting those tests that your doctor talked about that you were putting off, because it will be covered at 100%. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone had that basic understanding of deductibles, co-insurance levels, and out-of-pocket maximums. Okay, back to regularly scheduled programming. The health website here, again, I want to make sure that everyone has that. You can take a screenshot of it, you could print it, but again, every phone number that you would want to dial in relation to your insurance and benefits is located here. We are going to transition to the second part of our agenda, which is the tips and tricks. And all of you will benefit on this because I took notes, and I didn't take notes on the previous webinars to make sure that I consistently said everything that I've said on the prior webinars. I mentioned that it's optimized. Yes, I did. Okay, with Aetna. The one thing, not talking about Aetna, but the reason why I'm so happy that all of you are here today is something very, very critical. I want everyone to think of how much time they spent picking out the TV that's hanging in their living room. How long it took you to select scientific gains and the research you did in researching the company as an employer. I want you to think of how long it took you to select a car. And then I want you to ask how much time you've spent in learning your benefits. You can say an hour today if you just started today, but actively, especially during open enrollment, you really need to do the research. You need to access the tools that are available to you that I've showed you and will continue to show you this hour. You need to take the time and invest in your family's insurance coverage. It is so critical, and unfortunately, most people don't know or don't understand until it's too late, until something happens, and something proactive could have happened. So I'm going to get off my soapbox now, but I just wanted to highlight that here. In addition, I talked about being proactive. I want to talk about the first bullet point, action, not reaction. We all have to change the way that we look at medical insurance or any insurance. We have to stop looking at it as treating an illness. We need to start looking at it as preventing illness. Preventive care is covered at 100%. There are different tests, age-appropriate tests, and there's kind of a universal program that most insurance companies look at. But there are certain age-appropriate tests that are covered at 100%. I'm going to use a colonoscopy. That is covered at 100% when it's preventive. Now, the number one thing I want to mention here is I encourage you to find out what tests are covered, and I'm going to talk through some of them. But if you don't take advantage of your annual physical, that's money on the table. That's like not contributing 6% to your 401k. It's just you're leaving money there, and you're just dropping money everywhere. So if you're not having your annual exam to see that you're pre-diabetic, that is a loss for you. And it is something in most cases that can be preventive. So that annual physical that you have with your doctor, again, I strongly encourage everyone to make the appointment. Now, the number one question I get after my little spiel that I just had is, you told me to get that colonoscopy, and I did, and it cost me $200. I need $200 from you today. And the reason why when you get a colonoscopy, you'll have to pay for it is if they've already found something. So in the course of a colonoscopy, there's a different path that you follow when it's preventive. As soon as they find something, it changes course. Then it becomes a diagnostic tool to diagnose what you have. So again, just remember that if they find something, then it changes course and it's no longer diagnostic. It's the same thing that if you go into your doctor's office and ask for an annual physical, but you tell them that you have dry eyes and this cough's been lasting for a couple of days, again, that whole thing gets changed from preventive to diagnostic. So that's why you would get charged. Now, how doctors' offices bill is they have a specific code. They tell Aetna the code. There's a code for preventive. There's a code for diagnostic. There's a code for each diagnosis. So if you've paid for a colonoscopy that was age appropriate, that was within the 10-year span, and they didn't find anything and you're still having questions, you need to talk to your provider because it's very likely that they miscoded that particular visit. So again, the main message here is find out what is preventive and do it. Very key. The next point is that, the Choice PPO plan has the word PPO in it, and it's very, very common for people to think that the Premier HSA plans are not on the same network. If you're on the PPO plan and you're seeing Dr. Foot for your foot problem, then your neighbor that's seeing, that's on the HSA plan could also see Dr. Foot. All the networks are the same, except in dental because there's two different networks, but I digress. The next item here is medications on commercials. We've all heard them. We've all seen them. They go something like, when you wake up in the morning, do your eyes open? When you go to bed at night, do you yawn or do you feel sleepy? All of that. And in these commercials, there are actors that portray, patients. There are actors that portray doctors. There's a very shiny vase in the corner with a waterfall and a beach. So when you talk to your doctors about the medications that I'm talking about, the likelihood is that when you talk to your doctor about it, and if you get prescribed it, when you fill that prescription, it's going to cost a lot of money. Someone's got to pay for the marketing team that came up with that concept, has to pay for the fake doctor on TV and the shiny vase. So you have to keep in mind that when you see a commercial, like for example, if they added vitamin C to amoxicillin, they would call it cifoxicillin, and there would be a commercial for that. A lot of the medication on commercials is they're taking a medicine that's currently already there in a generic form, like the generic Cocoa Puffs that we don't buy, we buy whatever the brand name is. So because we're adding that vitamin C to it, it becomes an entirely new drug. So we can start and pay a brand named price for a drug that has 10 other alternatives that have been in existence for centuries. So again, when you see a medication on the commercial, don't get sticker shock. It's gonna break the bank. The flip side to that is if you're on this call and you're taking a medication that was on a commercial, it's likely that you're taking that because you've tried amoxicillin and it made your skin red. You're allergic to one of the other components that cifoxicillin doesn't have. And I understand that, and you've done your due diligence, so thank you. But the key thing that I want you to remember for those of us that are taking medications on commercials is at the very end of the commercial, they say, visit this website, or they give a phone number. That website or that phone number will put you in contact with coupons and vouchers. Many of them, and again, I'm pulling this out of my head, is like you would not pay over $25 for this commercial for X amount of months, let's just say 18 months. So if you're on that, make sure that you went to the website and you checked to see if there was any promotions or anything that you could do to lower the cost. FSAs and HSAs are your friends. Essentially, FSAs and HSAs could be its own webinar. I can't go through all the ins and outs, but I want to hit the key points, and I'm going to look at my cheat sheet. So I'm going to first talk about HSAs. HSAs so say that you're in an HSA plan and you're currently not contributing or you don't know what you're contributing. With HSAs, you can make a change to the number or the amount that you're contributing at any time. So if you started this call, saying I contribute 50, but after this call you're like, hey, I want to contribute the max, then you still can do that. It just divides the remainder. It divides the remainder by the number of pay periods we have left. So the key thing with HSAs is to remember it is your own bank account. It literally is its own bank account. So if you got married and added your spouse in February and she got a job in September and she came off your insurance, we don't dip our hands into the account and take money away from you. that's illegal. So it is very similar to just opening a Chase account or a Wachovia. I think Wachovia was bought out. Why did I say that? Another bank that I don't know, U.S. Bank, we cannot take money away from you. So again, this isn't something where you leave the company, you can't take the money with you. HSA rolls over year after year. So in addition to that, you have to remember that if you didn't use all of the money that you deferred, then it rolls over to the next year and you get another shot. Now, I want to highlight HSAs because with recent lack of healthcare reform or repeal and replace, in both versions of the bill, an increase to the HSA limit was mentioned. The reason, and I'm no political analyst, but the likelihood is if a bill is ever passed, it is very likely that the health savings account maximums will be increased. And the reason why that's important is you kind of have to take a step back and realize that the concept of a health savings account is beneficial because you save money at least two ways. You save money because it reduces your taxable income per paycheck, and you are paying your doctor with that pre-tax money. So again, that savings twice. People often say when they're considering a savings account, I can't afford to have $100 taken from my check every pay period. And the truth is that if you have $100 deferred to your HSA account by payroll deduction, that essentially is not $100. That's before taxes. So I'm not an accountant or a tax specialist, but $100 for some people, depending on your tax exemptions, could be $70, could be $50. I'm not Uncle Sam, but I'm telling you that there is such an immense savings that you could have with health savings accounts because, again, it rolls over. You can, as long as you use it for medical expenses, it's free. You don't have to upload or download every time you use it. That documentation is only required when you're, not when, I'm sorry, that was kind of mean, if you're audited by the IRS. So it's just good information to know about your health savings accounts. So I'm going to get off my HSA soapbox and talk about FSAs. Oh, wait, skipped one part. Sorry. Also, currently, the Scientific Games wants to kind of, encourage you to look at these plans, and that is why we have an employer contribution. If you were eligible January 1st and you were on the Premier HSA plan and it was just yourself, you got $600 deposited. If you had your family on the plan or another dependent on the plan, that would be $1,200. So the HSA plan is, those two plans are the only plans that are eligible for HSA. You can't be on the PPO plan and have an HSA. And that is not a Scientific Games rule. Again, that's an IRS rule. We're governed by ERISA. You can't save taxes if you're on a traditional copay plan. So FSAs, back to FSAs, that is use it or lose it. If you regularly see a doctor, you know that you see your doctor 24 times a year, you can times 24 by the copay, and that would be a good ballpark number to defer to your FSA if you're considering it. If you don't use all of the money before you leave the company or before the end of the year, the money is gone. So it's not that it's scary. People can figure out the math themselves, but it does require research and claim review for you to make sure that you don't over-contribute. There's also like an HSAstore.com that gets a lot of picked up activity on December 31st. People buy a lot of Band-Aids, cold medicine, to kind of use that money. So the next bullet point is probably one of the most important bullet points that we're going to talk about, and that's the correct way to pay medical bills. By a show of hands, how many of you receive a bill from your doctor in the mail and you just pay it? Just send the check, get this off my plate, go. I can't see your hands, but I'm going to assume some of you have raised them. And I'm going to tell you that you are doing it the wrong way. You should not pay a bill when it comes in without matching it up to your explanation of benefits. If you are not actively matching your EOBs, your explanation of benefits, up to a bill, then that is not a good idea, and you should reflect on that. Now, I'm going to tell you how a bill is created, which sounds very historical. When you go to the doctor, we talked about the diagnostic code. That diagnostic code is sent to Aetna. We saw Roger, and Roger, he had a diagnostic colonoscopy. So they're going to send that code to Aetna, and once Aetna receives it and pays it, you get a notification that's known as an explanation of benefits. The day that you receive your explanation of benefits, now most of us should be receiving them electronically, especially if we're tracking it. But if you receive an explanation of benefits, that means Aetna cut a check or electronically deposited the funds and attached the same information. Now, I didn't do this on previous calls, so it's a little treat for all of you fine folks. I didn't want to show that yet. I'm going to show you this in a second. I'm sorry, I'm under rehearsed. So please make sure that when you receive your explanation of benefits notice, know that they still either, if they have to physically mail a payment, which happens not so often, but it can happen. If you don't receive a bill from your provider in about a week, pick up the phone and ask them, because how many of us receive a bill from we receive a second notice when we never received the first notice, or in some cases, hey, you're in collections. So if you received an explanation of benefits, that means somebody got paid, and if the explanation of benefits that you see says that you owe something and you haven't paid it, make the right decision and contact that provider and find out where your bill is so you can get that paid. Now, the second thing, and I'm going to refer back to that bullet point in a second because these work hand in hand. I want to tell you a very, very quick story. There is an employee who went to a thumb doctor because she had a thumb problem. And that person had surgery on her thumb to correct that problem. Unfortunately, after that surgery, she wasn't able to bend her thumb, which wasn't in any relation to the surgery at all. So she went to her doctor for the follow-up appointment and said, hey, I can't bend my thumb. And he said, do this, do that. So then she did this, she did that, and then she still couldn't bend it. So she went back to the doctor and said, hey, I still can't bend it. And then he said, try this, try that. She tried this, tried that. She still couldn't bend it. She went back to the doctor. She couldn't bend it. And he said, do this. And she said, okay, I'm going to stop doing this. She asked for a copy of her medical file. And guess what the medical file did not say? It did not say that she could not bend her thumb. In fact, it said that she could bend her thumb at each and every office visit. The chief complaint was me not being able to bend my thumb. And I spoiled the surprise. I'm talking about myself. So I want my mistake to be your victory. If there is something going on or something serious, know your options. Take advantage of a second opinion. I would strongly encourage you to get a copy of your medical file and look at it. Doctors make mistakes. I'm not saying that all doctors are crooks and doctors aren't angels. I'm saying that to be an informed consumer, you need to know what they're retaining from your doctor's office visits. Now, for most people, depending on the office, this is a service free of charge. You go to the doctor's office, you go and you fill a prescription. You go to the front desk and you say, hey, I'd like a copy of my medical file. That's what I did. Some will charge you a flat fee, like a labor fee, like $25 or something, or to pay for the paper that it's printed on. But either way, you have a right to review your medical file. And so I definitely want everybody here to know that you have that right and access it as you see appropriate. Now I'm going to go back to the thing that I was just trying to show you. I wanted to show you, this isn't an EOB, but this is a claim. And this is off of the Aetna Navigator website, which we will walk through. I pulled the claim, and I could essentially click that to view the explanation of benefits. But I wanted to pull the claim and show you the information that's on an EOB. So my surgery was billed $32,051. It's very important to know this because I think that we all think that we pay so much for insurance. but when we look at the cost that's being billed, it's ridiculous. Now, Aetna is contracted with in-network providers. So if you are seeing an in-network provider, Aetna has done the legwork and negotiated the rate. And this is that rate. It's in contract. That's why we strongly encourage everyone to see in-network doctors. I mean, the amount I saved was $30,000. It was a thumb surgery. I was under for 30 minutes. It's ridiculous. So that's how much the plan paid, and this is how much I had to come out of pocket. And this is strictly for the hospital. You get a bill from the anesthesiologist. You get a bill from your doctor. You get a bill for the equipment. So I'm just making sure that you guys take a look at this and realize, hey, if I didn't have insurance, that's how much I would be billed. And the fact that, you know, Aetna saved that amount and then on top of that paid $465, that's a lot of money. So here, there's also the breakdown of how much was applied to my deductible and how much was put towards my co-insurance at 20%. So it's you can see this, and I'm going to show you exactly where in a few minutes, but I thought it was relevant to kind of tie these two together. The next thing is EAP. It's one of my favorite things to talk about, and a lot of times people think EAP, oh, it's for people who, you know, are feeling blue, and it's not. It's so much more. For those of you who know what the phrase book of business means, I will tell you that our utilization as a company is higher than the book of business. We're utilizing this service more than most companies in our, you know, genre are. So that's good news. And why is it good news? It's because people who need help are getting help and they know where to find it. So if you haven't used it, I can guarantee you somebody sitting within 10 feet of you has probably utilized the services. We're not just talking counseling. We're talking legal. There's financial. You know, if you have to put your parents in a home that's not your own, like a assisted living facility, there's great resources for elder care. If you just moved to Las Vegas and you want to know about child care around here, they can help you with that process. You know, of course, the obvious grief if someone dies unexpectedly, if you are struggling with work-life balance. There is a feature for managers to contact for specific employee issues. I would discourage you to do that unless you've talked to human resources first, but I just wanted to mention that as well. There is just a lot of good information here. This is the direct website. It has a different username and password, which we've placed here, but it is a great benefit that I encourage everybody to use. Another great benefit that I'm going to encourage everyone to use is Teladoc. Oh, I think I'm skipping ahead, but let's just go with it. It's Monday. Teladoc is basically FaceTiming a doctor or calling a doctor. If you're a single parent and one of your kids is sick but the two others are healthy, it's very hard for you to gather everybody up in the car and expose them to all the germs in the ER waiting room or the urgent care waiting room. If you're a person who works too much and you don't think that you need to call out from work today, so you're going to, take a break in your car or maybe close the curtains on your office and call a doctor. It is convenient. It's at your fingertips, and I strongly encourage everybody to utilize this service. It's a $40 copay if you're in an HSA plan. It's a $20 copay if you're on a choice plan. Did I say that right?
I think so.
Okay, yeah. If you think that this is something that you are going to do or eventually do, I would strongly encourage you to register ahead, because there's nothing like being sick and drippy and then having to put in credit card numbers and tell the doctor what medication you're on. So I would register early. That way when you need to utilize it, it's right there. It's really quick and easy, and it's one of the things that we get complimented on regularly. So again, if you haven't used it or haven't heard about it, check it out under benefit highlights. The next thing is Aetna discounts. What I'm going to do right now is very briefly show you where the Aetna website is. Again, it's on the website, but when you go to aetnanavigator.com and you securely log in, okay, this is what the homepage looks like. If you need an ID card because you ordered or you just recently enrolled and now you want, you have a doctor's appointment, you can actually print a digital copy, the front and back of your ID card right there. There's also an app for that which does the exact same thing. But here you can get your ID card really quick. If you want to search for that urgent care that we talked about, or a particular doctor, is Dr. Foote in network, you can click here to find care. If you have an upcoming surgery and you want to kind of get a ballpark figure of what it's going to cost you, there's cost estimators here that do a comparison and show you that, hey, this is how much it's probably going to cost you. Again, with balances, there's incentives, and that's where the discount part comes in. There's different programs that are offered through Aetna. You may not know that Aetna offers a maternity program. It's completely free. So if you have, a pregnant spouse or you are pregnant and you haven't utilized that service, then contact Aetna right away and get on board. If you have a chronic illness, there is somebody who can talk to you. It's kind of a nurse case manager. It's a free service. Someone just monitors your claims, calls you. They're available 24/7. Again, all stuff that is free that you can find here, but I just wanted to make sure that I put that out in front of you. Also, there's information on mail order pharmacy. If you take a regularly, like a monthly medication, it's called a maintenance medication, or if you get regularly prescribed the same medication on a daily basis, I would strongly encourage you to do mail order. The reason why is it saves you money, and you can take a look at that when you look at the comparison of the three plans side by side. But if you live in Las Vegas like I do, or another hot location, potentially a cold location, and you don't really want your medicine sitting out there and burning or freezing or being stolen by your nosy neighbors, you have the additional benefit of going to CVS with your mail order prescription, and they will fill your 90-day prescription in-house. So that is a great benefit that we offer, and if you didn't know that, then you're welcome. If you did know that, I'm sorry that I talked about it, but I think it's critical. Another thing is estimate drug costs. You may not know that by going to CVS versus Walgreens, there could be a cost difference. Not if you're in a copay plan, but if you go to Costco versus CVS and you're on an HSA plan, there's a different cost for that. So I definitely wanted to make sure that you were aware of where that is. Now, the claims section, that little screenshot that I just showed you, it's from clicking on claims. And then the explanation of benefits is also located there. I'm not clicking on this because this is a live demo and it's none of your business. Just kidding, but I'm not. So again, if you want to get electronic notifications on, whatever your EOBs that I was talking about, settings is where you would go. But they've upgraded and they've updated the website so it's more intuitive. So I strongly encourage you to go on it and see what we were talking about here today. I'm going to my cheat sheet. One of the things we talked about was preventive or diagnostic. Aetna does not determine whether a test is preventive or diagnostic. So I want you to, when you're wondering why something got, paid a certain way, it's black and white, meaning that your provider sends the code. So if you had a colonoscopy, they found nothing, and you were billed, that's not Aetna's fault. That's your doctor's fault for miscoding it. It happens more often than you could possibly imagine, and people who've attended the webinars have actually emailed me and gotten their money back after contacting Aetna because it was miscoded. So definitely be aware of what's covered at 100% and match that up to your EOBs. I talked about that. The other thing that I wanted to mention is we talked about preventive measures, and I talked about the flu shot. Definitely think about that next month. Just because we're not doing it at your location or if you're on PTO the day that it's there, just remember that flu shots, just like all preventive stuff, is covered at 100%. It has to be administered by a licensed professional, and Aetna defines what a licensed professional is. So if like a pharmacy tech did it, they won't cover it. If your doctor did it, then it's covered at 100%. So just keep that in mind. We are currently in the works of planning for 2018 benefits. I wish I could give you some top secret information, but again, I have no idea what's going to happen. If nothing's going to happen, I don't know that either. But typically in the summer is the busy time for the benefits folks who are in the planning stages for 2018. Now, in addition to that, open enrollment is traditionally held in November. Those changes take place January 1st. You will be inundated with information, so trust me, if you have questions now, I'm sure there'll be 100 answers in 100 locations. I also want to encourage everyone to review, if you're considering an HSA or an FSA plan, to look at the annual spend, and that is on the section, I'm going to pull it up for you, where you look at the accumulators. So see coverage and costs. If you were to click on here, you would be able to see where you're at. So I would encourage everybody to look in that section during open enrollment time to figure out what plan would work best with them. The benefits team is Zorbel in the Alpharetta office. She responds to, and Sandy here in Las Vegas, respond to the inquiries sent to the benefits inbox. We pride ourselves on responding as soon as we can, which could be in minutes or hours, but we strive to get you a response within 24 hours. The other part is, I wanted to mention the reason why I can't open up the call to questions is because, one, it'll be like that conference call video where everyone talks at the same time and says, I'm sorry, go ahead. And also sometimes talking about things in an open forum, there's privacy laws that we have to watch. So if you have a question, feel free to email the benefits inbox, or even feel free to send it to me directly. I want to thank all of you for taking the time. Again, you know, if it took you 2 days to buy a TV, then I should be getting emails from you for the next 10 days. But I really want to pat you all on the back and say thank you for taking the time to learn this information. Benefits is super, super complicated, and so let us help you. But you also, we can't help people that aren't willing to help themselves. So if you have a question, we'll get it for you. We'll tell you what you need to do. And I want to make sure that everyone understands that I am so appreciative of the time that you took to hear me talk about benefits and hear me babble on about how much I appreciate you. So have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week, and talk to you soon.